Hello and welcome to Saturday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. Oh, my voice is croaky, I don't know why. And that is not good news because I have left it very late to record this video. I'm scheduled to try this puzzle today, which actually I've loaded it up and it looks remarkably sparse, this grid. It's called Falling Arrows and it's by Antiknight. Now, I have done an Antiknight puzzle or two in the past and I think they've been excellent. And this is almost sort of a miracle type quality to it, hasn't it? They're just these two sort of arrangements, should we call them that, in boxes 2 and 5, and some slight accoutrement on the right and very, very little on the left. And apparently that's enough to solve this puzzle, which does have an Antiknight constraint, which is well, it's suitable, isn't it? So I don't have any news today, which perhaps will help me to get cracking with the puzzle. So I haven't got any birthdays, and well, just the usual appeal. If you do enjoy the channel, please do think about subscribing. Please consider joining us on Patreon. Thank you so much to all those of you who support us on Patreon. It keeps the channel going. It keeps Mark and I able to do 2 videos a day, which we have managed to do now for over 3 years. Which is, I suppose, that's quite a good effort, isn't it? Anyway, that said and done, let's have a look at Falling Arrows and see what Antiknight has in store for us. I did take a quick look at Logic Masters Germany before I switched on the webcam, and this does have 4 stars out of 5 for difficulty, which rather worries me given the time of 6:15. But anyway, here are the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Digits along each arrow must sum to the digit in that arrow's circle. So those 3 digits, imagine they were 1, 2 and 3. We could write 6 into the circle because 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6. Digits along each purple line must be a set of consecutive digits in any order. So imagine we worked out this square was a 1. Then we would know this square, well, these 2 squares would have to be a 2 and a 3 in some order. That order is up to us, but they would have to be 1, 2, 3 in order to form a consecutive set. It says I've just noticed that digits on a purple line must not repeat, but actually they can't repeat because they're all in the same box of the Sudoku. So that part of the rules was superfluous today. Cells separated by a knight's move in chess cannot contain the same digit. So imagine the central digit of the puzzle is a 1. Now, if that was a chess knight, look, it could jump to all of those cells, and therefore none of these cells could contain the digit 1, because if a digit... Wow, what's going on there? That's not good. My piece of paper's in the way. That's what I'm going to blame. No, but that's because obviously if this square was a 1, those cells are separated by a chess knight's move and they contain the same digit, and that is expressly against the rules of this puzzle. Sometimes we get comments saying, I have found cells or digits a knight's move apart in the puzzle on the back of my newspaper, and you told me that they couldn't be a knight's move apart. It's only in some Sudokus you can't have a knight's move constraint, and those Sudokus include this one. So do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play. Let's get cracking. So this square is immediately at least equal to 6, isn't it? We saw that with the example of the 1, 2 and the 3. And in fact, now I study it and I've noticed these 2 little structures, those are also 3 cell arrows, aren't they? They just don't look quite right, but they are 3 cell arrows. So again, if we minimize the total of those arrows, we'd have 1, 2 and 3, which is equal to 6. So these squares are also equal to at least 6. Now, the 8 Antiknight rules out an 8 from this circle. And I guess these 2 digits have to be different as well. Let's just highlight that in case that's relevant. So I'll use my favourite fluorescent green here, and we'll make this one yellow. And then that one, well, the problem is that one could be yellow. Oh, actually, let me just check that. If this was yellow, this yellow knocks itself out of those 2 squares by knight's move. So if this was yellow, yellow would be in one of those 2 cells. Not sure about that, whether that's possible or not. I mean, there really isn't much in this grid. It's going to have to be something to do with It's something like you can't have too many repeated digits on these arrows, I think. I can immediately see, for example, that this little square, whatever is in that square, cannot appear on the arrow below it at all, because it's ruled out of these two squares by Sudoku and this one by the knight's move constraint. So that tells us that those 4 digits are definitely different and would sum to at least 10 on their own. Doesn't quite do it, does it? Because this digit could repeat and that digit definitely could repeat. Okay, maybe it's not that then. It's something like that, I think. Is it something to do with the Ren bands as well? That digit can't repeat on that Ren band. Six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, sorry. I realised I just stopped talking then. No, well, I'll show you what I was doing in my brain. I put 6 into that in my brain, and then my brain told me this was 1, 2, 3. And then I thought about this Ren band, which is then a little bit restricted. Because this square can't be a 1 or a 2 now, because you couldn't make these consecutive, because the 3 in the box will be over there. So that has to be 3, and this has to be a 4, 5 pair. And you end up with this configuration. And now this arrow up here, I haven't thought this through. I actually thought this was fine before, but I'm now sort of slightly wondering about that. No, that's not fine. This is broken. Okay, so there's some jiggery-pokery going on. Why do I think this is broken? Well, these two squares here are at least a 3 plus a 4, aren't they, if this is a 1, 2 pair? And now what on earth do you put into this digit? Because whether you put 1 or 2 in here, you need a 3 or a 4 on the Ren band. And you could have neither. Yeah, you've got to have a 3 in here. You have to. And then this digit needs to be low enough to make the arrow add up to a sub 10 number. And there is no way to make that work. I mean, if you go 3, 5 there, and try it, it just can't work. I mean, it's quite clear. Right. Well, okay. Well, that's a tiny deduction. It is a tiny deduction. This square is not 6. So this is 7, 8, or 9. If that one's 6, we get 1, 2, 3. Again, you get the same sort of thing, wouldn't you? I think it's the same. Isn't it the same logic? Because I didn't use the knight's move constraint to disprove anything there, did I? Don't think I did. Didn't feel like I did. It just forces these two up, and then the Ren band breaks it. So that's also not a 6. Which means these are at least... they're at least 7, 8. Here's another thought, actually. These can't be 6 different digits, can they? Because if they were 6 different digits, they would add up to at least 21. That's the triangular number for 6. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 is 21. That's too high for 2 circles to add up to. The maximum these can add up to is 17. But they could be 5 different digits. That would be 15 plus 1 minimum, 16. Well, so we know these could be 7 and 9. That would be fine. I haven't quite got to grips with this in my brain. I can feel it's something to do with how the Ren bands interact with the arrows. Let me just mull that over for a second or two. if you put a 1 on this arrow, where does it go? Ah, right, okay. If you put a 1 on this arrow, where does it go? Now, where it doesn't go is here. I don't think it does anyway. If that's a 1, how do we fill this sort of U pentomino of nonsenses that Antiknight has constructed for us? And the answer is it's not easy to do it. Because, yeah, in fact, it just doesn't work. Because the moment this is 1, this is 2, 3. And now these have to be at least 4, 5, and then the circle would add up to 10. Oh, so one of the arrows is 9. Right, okay, we've got something. Because if you do try and put a 1 on this arrow, it can't go at the junction here with the Renban. It would have to go on the long stretch of arrow here. But then, pointing down at this arrow, this one couldn't have a 1 on it at all, because if there's a 1 here, it would force the 1 on this arrow there, and we know that doesn't work because the Renban breaks it. So one of these arrows, well, in fact exactly one of these arrows, doesn't have a 1 on it, and therefore it must be a 2, 3, 4 arrow and add up to 9. Now, the other interesting thing is that because the other arrow can't be a 2, 3, 4 arrow, because that would put a second 9 in this column, that other arrow must have a 1 on it, and that 1 is in the vertical strand because it can't be on the junction. And also, I suppose it's adding to 7 or 8, so we knew it had a 1 on it, but the 1 is going to be on the left-hand side. This is very difficult to pencil mark as well, I'm suddenly realising, because I don't know which of these, at least I don't think I know which one of them is the high digit. One of these is 9, but I don't know which one. Which one do we think it's going to be? I don't know, is this 8 somehow relevant to that question? I don't know. Let's imagine this was the 9, just so that we can... I just want to see what the structure of the Renban is then. Because this arrow is now 2, 3, 4, if this is 9. Now, you can't put 2 here, can you? Because this arrow would need a 3 on it, and the 3 is over there in the box. So the 2 comes on the left-hand side. Now, if you put 3 here, again, it just doesn't work, yeah, because you need a consecutive digit, and the 2 and the 4 are over here. And this must have at least one consecutive digit with 3. So, right, so this is a 4 at the junction. So if this is 9, this is 4. These two squares are 5 and 6 by force because they can't have a 3 on the consecutive digit. So we'd get 1, 7, 8 into the gaps. These two squares would be at least a 1, 4 pair. Oh, right. This is very clever, and it's completely impossible to pencil mark. Because, right, okay, so how would we know that, right, we're going to have to be flexible in our brains here. Now, I'm telling that to my brain as much as to yours. So this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 U pentomino is either here or here. So again, let's keep on going with the hypothesis here. How does this work? Now, what this cannot be is a 4, 5 pair, because then once we add this square to it, this will be a broken number. It'll be too high. So one of these digits is a 1. That's for sure. Now, what's the other digit then? Well, the least it could be would be 4. But we know that this is a 7 or an 8 in this case, so this is a 2 or a 3. Well, the problem is, how do we fill this Renban? It's got to be consecutive digits that definitely can't include 1. So if this goes 1, 4, 2, this sequence will be 3, 4, and there'll be 2 4s in the box. That doesn't work. If we put 3 in here instead, then one of these digits will have to be a 1 or a 4 again, and it still won't work. So this is actually simply impossible. It simply doesn't work. And that means that this has to, I think, be 1, 5, because if it was 1, 6, this would be a 9, and it would be the same as this number. So it's 1, 5, and this Renban is 2, 3, 4, and that's not 4, obviously, by Sudoku. Yeah, and it can't add up to 9. So actually, look at this. This is remarkable. This is sort of a discovery, isn't it, that Antiknight has had here, because we actually know the structure of both U pentominoes now, but we just don't know the order, and we know that that's going to be an 8 then. So, okay, so we do know it is legitimate to say this is an 8-9 pair. It's also legitimate to say that one of these is 3, 4, one of these is 5, 6, one of these is 1, 5, so we've got to add 2, 3, and 1, 5 down here, and this is a 2, 4 pair. Whoopsie, hang on. And now this is actually correct. We are correctly pencil marked. Maverick, of course, making an appearance. Okay, so let's get rid of the 9 in the corner there. 8 in this box is in the top row, because it doesn't seem to be able to go there or on the arrow or the Renban. So 8 is over in one of 3 places in box 1. Still don't think we can rule out both of these being yellow. Okay. Right, so it must be this, mustn't it? These 3 squares at the bottom of this column are 1, 2, and 4. Not 1, 2, and 4, actually, sorry. 1, 2, and 7. I suddenly realised there's a 4 in that quadruple. So 1, 2, and 7 down here. That means this square cannot be 1, 2, or 7, so that's at least a 3. It doesn't stop this being a 6, though. 3, 2, 1, or something like that would still, I think, be possible. Yeah, sorry, and the reason, hopefully it's obvious, the reason this can't be a 1 or a 2 is if you put 1 in here, for example, it rules out 1 from all those 3 squares because of the knight's move constraint. So this column needs 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there is a 7 in one of those 2 squares in column 4. I'm just going to highlight that somehow. I might use, I might just use orange to try and remind me there's something about those cells. I realise I've just gone quiet again. I mean, what? The weird thing about this is that I love the title, by the way, Falling Arrows. That's exactly what it feels like these arrows sort of do. They do sort of just fall down the grid. It feels like it's sort of raining digits down, except that I can't actually figure out how to do this. Maybe I don't want to do that. What I was about to suggest is maybe I've got to fill in the arrows on a guess and sort of make this 9 and this 8 and just look at what I get from that. But that feels like I'd be on a bit of a bifurcation chain. So let's try. All right, let's try and crystallize in our brains what we know about these arrows. So the 8 arrow is 1, 2, 5. With a 2 as its middle digit, 2 in this sort of cell. And the 9 arrow is 2, 3, 4. So they've both got 2 on their arrow. Right, so that's not a 2. Because that's the thing we looked at earlier. We knew that any digit here couldn't repeat on this arrow. Oh, okay, so 2. I was wondering if this is about even digits in this row. That's quite interesting. So 2 not being in this cell. We know that there's a 2 on this arrow somewhere, so there is now a 2 in those 2 squares. And that means you can't put 1 on these purple lines. So 1 in this row is in that cell, or that cell. Which means 1 is not in... Yeah, this is unbelievable. Okay, so 1 in this row is in one of these 3 positions. So where is 1 in this box now? And that's quite a good question, I think. Because it can't be here or here. Because these 2 cells see all of the blue cells because of the knight's move. So in this box, the 1 is on this side, but it's not in the orange cell, because this is a 1, 2, 3, 5 quadruple. So the 1 is in this domino, and if the 1's in this domino, this is the 8 arrow, because the 8 arrow has a 1 on it, and we've just worked out this has a 1 on it. That's beautiful. So this is 2, 3, 4, so these 2 squares are 2 and 3. Oh, and I could, so my first guess, which is, I think I did put 9 here, didn't I? That would have been correct. So 4, 2, this is a 1, 5 pair. So let's tidy up all our pencil marks. This has to be 3 and 4 in order to be consecutive with 2. These squares are not 4 or 3, so these are a 5, 6 pair. And that 4 sees that square, so that's a 3, that's a 4. Now, ooh, right, now let's go back to even digits in row 2. If you think about, these are exactly the same, these 2 cell purple lines, as white Kropki dots. That's their nature. So what do we know about consecutive digits? It's the same question we sometimes ask about a white Kropki dot. They must have an even and an odd number on them. Well, which even numbers are we planning to put onto these Kropki dots? Well, especially that one. That one definitely can't have 2, 4 or 8 on it, so it's definitely got 6 on it. So that's either 5, 6 or 6, 7. Bobbins. I thought that was going to be useful. Okay, and this one must have 8 on it, so we get rid of 1, 8 pencil mark. So this is either 7, 8 or 9. That's really harsh, isn't it? That's not really done anything. It's I really like that as well. I thought that was going to be profound. Okay, let's pencil mark the gaps then. So we need 1s, 7s and 8s into these gaps. That's not a 1 by our old friend Sudoku. Right, what knight's moves are reaching into these boxes? Don't know. This one is 6, 7. Oh, hang on, those can't be 8. This is 6, 7 and 9 up here. So 6, 7 and 9. Okay, that's a bit strange. Bother. Okay, that's really weird. Again, I feel conscious of the fact that I've just stopped talking, but that's because I'm now absolutely convinced that I can do more with the knight's move stuff in this middle section of the grid. And I just can't spot it. I'm so sorry. This is inept. These have got to be odd digits, don't they? That one can't be 9. Can that be 9? I think it could be if that was 9. Then that would be 9. That wouldn't be 9. That would be 6 or 7. Oh, that 9. That's doing something. So this is 6 or 7. But we know that this square is 3 or 4 then, because it cannot be 1 or 2. But whether this is a 6 arrow or a 7 arrow, it must have a 1-2 pair on it. So this square is the same digit now as this one, because whatever this is knocked out of those two squares but must appear in this triple. So this square is not a 7. That square can't be a 1 or a 2 actually. That's a simpler way of seeing that, isn't it? That can't be a 1 or a 2 because it would knock itself out of the arrow. So that is 7. This is a 1-2 pair. We can do a little bit of colouring, which I am going to do. So that digit must be that one, and that digit must be that one. And let's call those colours light green. So bobbins. I thought I could do more with that. 4 is right down there in box number 8. Oh, come on. Oh, there we go. It's 5-6 pair looking at this square. So this is 7 because of the knight's moved constraint. So that's a 4, that's a 4. Here we go. We've got a 4 in one of 2 places over on the left-hand side of the grid. Yes, beautiful. Look at those 2 4s and where they operate, or the way that they operate on box 6. Well, because this one sees those 2 squares by knight's move, and that one sees that one, we can squeeze a 4 into the corner. Which means that 4 is exactly here in box number 3. One of 3 places in box number 1, I think. One of... no, it's not. It's there. Right, look. Where's 4 in this box? It's here. So we should ask where the 4 goes in column 3. And it can't go in those 6 cells or those 2 cells, so it must go exactly here. Which is perhaps going to matter. Maybe. Or maybe not. Bar humbug. Okay. Okay. What about... I haven't got a clue. I've not got a clue. It could... Where does 9 go in? No, I was about to get excited about where 9 went in box 6. 7 is knocked out of that square by our old friend Sudoku. Oh, Mark would be proud of me for this one, I think. Oh, that's gorgeous. That is gorgeous. Where's that? What's that square? Okay, so I was looking at this triple in the context of this column. 1, 2, 4 and 7, and I noticed that square saw a 3, 4 and a 9, none of which, well, the 4 is the same, but this digit now is really restricted. It can't be 9, 7 or 8, or 1, 2, 3 or 4, and then you notice it can't be 6, so that is a naked single 5, which means that's 6 and that's 7, and that must be huge. 5 and 1 go into the grid. The 7 knocks itself out of the left-hand Renban, so now this row needs 1 and 3, I think. Now surely, said I, that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. It is the wind and nothing more. It really is the wind and nothing more. I can't see how to do it. Bobbins. Oh, Simon, oh, you are a naughty boy. 1, 2, 3, 9. 1. So this square is 2 or 9 by Sudoku. Now, can the, no, it's not. It's these are 2. Okay, so this was also a naked single. I just want to check this one. I'm not sure I trust that one. 1, 2, 3, and 9. 1, 3. No, it is. That's a naked single. So that's not 9. So 9 is up here. 9 is no. 9 is now in one of those 2 squares. So 9 is at the bottom of the grid in this column. Right. So we should revisit this column, shouldn't we? 3 and 8 to place. Yes, that's 3. That's 8. So these, so that's 7, here we go. That's 1, that's 8. So that's no longer 7, which was one of the options for it. 7 and 4, look, in this box are in the same cells now, because this can't be a 7 because of the knight's move. So we slightly improve on the situation in this row. That being a 3 means that's a 1, and that's 3. Now, oh, now I was about to write a 1 into one of those 2 squares, but the red digit could be a 1. What about that digit? That's a 2 in the corner. What about this row then? 2, 3, 5, and 6. Let's look at that square. 2, 3, 5, 6. Now it can't be 6 by knight's move. Does it see anything else? Surely it's going to see something. That's unbelievable. I don't think it does. Alright, so 6 is one of those squares in row 4. Doesn't seem to do any damage though. What about these 2, 6, and 7 into those cells? Let's pencil mark that in case that triggers a spot of cleverness. No. Alright, I'm going to try this column then. 6, 8, and 9. Ah, yeah, I can do this. The question we should ask is, where does 8 go in this column? And there's only one place for it now. So this becomes 6 or 9. The 8 here is going to do almost nothing, but nearly. 8's in one of those 2. 8 is in one of... Oh, yes, that's good. I can see the 8s are aligning in columns 1 and 2. So the 8, this is good actually. Where does 8 go in column 3 now? And this 8 knocks that cell out and that one. So 8's only got one position. That's going to get me the 8 in box 9. So how many 8s? I've got lots of 8s. I've just got, yes, I've just got these 2 left. 9s. Oh, 9's in one of those 3. That's probably worth pencil marking. Or maybe not. 9. Bother. 8 we looked at. 7 is... Oh, goodness me. Sorry, look. That's a 7 by Sudoku. That's a bit of a shank. Can we do any better? I don't think so. I think 7's got 3 positions in box 7. Oh, look. That 7 does see that cell, so that's been reduced to 2 or 6. 8, 9 here. Ah. I don't know. Okay, I'm getting stuck now. 2, 3. That cell's marginally restricted because this row needs 2s, 3s, 5s, and 6s, and this can't be 3 or 5. So this square here is just 2 or 6. I'm desperately looking to see whether I can... Oh, it's so close to doing something. Three is in one of those 2 cells. I don't think it's quite good enough actually. Nearly, but not quite. 4, 7 there. Wow. I don't know. There are tricks you can do with cells like that. I'll just mention. Although it's not actually very good here, because I was thinking maybe this couldn't be green, but I think it can be green. No, but all I was thinking was that cell is obviously ruling itself out of all of those cells, all of the blanks by Sudoku. So in theory, this cell it does need to be one of those digits. Now it can't be 4, it can't be 7 or 8. So I think this cell is 1, 2 or 9 actually, so maybe this was useful. I think that can only be 1, 2 or 9. And if it's 1 or 2, it's obviously green. And that would make, oh, it can't be 2, sorry, I didn't see the 2 in the column. So it's 1 or 9. If it's 1, it's green. I mean, that's really quite unlucky actually, that didn't do anything. Very nearly. It very nearly works magic. Is there a reason this can't be a 9? Ah, again, it's so close. That would force that to be a 9. That would force that to be a 9, and that to be an 8, and that to be an 8, and the world would probably make sense. Ah! That's the problem with these puzzles. It can be some tiny little deduction, and if you don't see it, it can, you know, the solves can just extend into the distance. What about, should we risk pencil marking this column? 2, 3, 5 and 6? Oh. Well... No. Probably. Actually, I am going to pencil mark this cell because I've noticed something about this cell and that one. That cell sees both a 1 and a 2. It sees the red digit in its box and it sees the green digit by Sudoku. So that can't be 2 or 5. So I think this digit is 3 or 6 only. No. Ah, see, look, if I'd focused on this column, I'd have got this digit earlier. Can't be 3 by the king's move, or sorry, the knight's move. That's massive. I'm just going to double check it. I don't almost trust myself. 2, 3, 5, 6. That is the gap. 3, 5, so it's a 2 or a 6. It can't be 2. It's beautiful, actually, if you think about it. Think about it just in the context of the red and green digits. It's really helpful. Now, that gets me a 6 here and a 5 here. So 5 is really nearly restricted. 5's in one of 2 places here. I thought we were going to get a visitor from a little person then. How has that worked its magic, if at all? Well, let's check this cell then, because this can't be a 1 for the same reasons as this one was under pressure. This one couldn't be a 2, this one can't be a 1. So we're looking for 3, 5, 6 and 9. Well, so this is 3 or 9. Now please, please, let me just see why. Can we see? Is it seeing a 3 or a 9 somehow? It might be. I don't know actually. I'm not so sure. What about that digit then? I think we're going to have to go full investigation mode on this box. 1, 2, 3, 5 and 9. Okay, what can we get rid of? We can get rid of 1 and 9 from this square, so that's good. We're down to 2, 3 or 5. In fact, we're down to... Ah, okay, that's a 2 or a 3 as well. I'm just looking at this column now. 2s, 3s and 5s are the only digits left. Now, which... Oh, no. Ah, no. I thought maybe I could get rid of 2 from this because I was wondering whether it saw both colours. But no, it sees green. It sees green there and green there by the knight's move. It never sees red, I don't think. So that digit is either that one or that one in box 9. What about that digit? If that's a 3, it's that one. If it's a 9, it's that one. Ooh, right, that one's not a 3 for a rather pretty reason. If that's a 3, you put 2 there and 2 there, and you can't put 2 on that arrow. That's quite lovely. So this is down to 2 or 5 now. I'm looking at it thinking that must help, but of course it doesn't. Okay, maybe I've got to pencil mark this cell as well. Hang on, let's think about this. 1, 2, 3, 5 and 9. Is there anything that... Well, 1, 2, 5 or 9 into this square then. Now what gets knocked out by knight's movage? Oh no, it's easier than that. No, where does 3 go in this row? Sorry, I'd only just appreciated that I could view those 4. I mean, it's strange the way Sudoku works, isn't it? I see that 1, 2, 5, 9 before I see that the fact this 3 can only go in one position in the row. That's 3, that's 2. Please don't tell me that does nothing. I mean, that would be ridiculous. That would be ridiculous, but oh come on, that must... Hang on, I'm just going to double click the 3. Okay, where's 3 then in this box? Not there, not there. 3 is in one of 2. Oh, 3 is in one of 2 places. So 3 is down here. It's not in the top position. 3 is down here. 3 in this box is in one of 2 positions. That's unbelievable. This 2-3 pair you'd think would do loads of damage. And I think it's done close to nothing. No. 5 is down here. I'm now noticing. It's serious. It's actually quite challenging, I think, the Antiknight part of this. Ah, where's 1 in this row? It's not there, which means it's overlapping with the same cells as 8. Okay, so I've got an 8-1 pair. Now that seems to be knocking a 3 out of this square, which will place a 3 in that square, which means this is no longer a 3. Ah, I've got a 2-5 pair over here now, out of absolutely nowhere. That makes that square a 3, which means that square is a 3, which means that square's a 5, looking at my pencil marks. That feels like a minor breakthrough, because also this being 2-5 tells me that red is 1. So that does a few more digits. Now there's a 2 over here by the power of Doku. These 2 squares are a 6-9 pair. I'm definitely putting that in. And those squares are 1, 5 and 6. And 1 comes out of here. And so does 5 actually. So we've got a 6 in this position. And a 1-5 pair. Ah, which is looking at that square, which is 9 now. That square's 3. So that square's known. That's got to be a 9 by Sudoku. So this is not 9. This is not 1. We've got a 2-5 pair here that's almost certainly resolved by some jiggery pokery I haven't noticed. We've got 6 is seeing this 6-9. Here we go. 6-9. 6 at the top. 7-9. That's not 7 anymore. 2-6 pair here. Ooh. I don't know. Can't compute it. 157. Brain will not compute in required time. That 1 is knocking that one out of... Oh, where's 1 in this column? I don't know. This is the actual answer to that question. It's in one of 2 places. And it'd be very useful if it was here. We need 1, 4, 5 and 9. Right, that's 1 or 4 only. Because it sees 5 there and it sees 9 there. Now, Can we do better than that? Oh, I tell you, yes we can. Where does 9 go in this row? That 9 sees that square. So that's 9. So that's 9, that's 8, that's 8, that's 1. So that's 1 in the top row. All the 9s look like they're done. Most of the 8s, yeah, I think all of the 8s might be done. 4 sees that square. I was wondering about my pencil mark 4 and wondering if it was wrong, but actually 4 was seeing that square, so that's been available for a while. That finishes the 1 and the 5. That 5 pokes in and sees the 2 and the 5, so that makes this a 5. And these 2 squares are 2, 6 pair, and the 2 is useful, which means those 2 squares get resolved. That 5, 7 at the top is resolved. This is looking good now, isn't it? Unless I've made an error, I think we're nearly home and dry. We've got a 4, 4, 7. Puts us. Oh, I haven't been looking for 3s in the corner, but I don't think we've had the opportunity. 2 goes there, and if I've not made an error, that's a 5. Let me just stare. That might be right. Yes. 3 times been solved in 1.1 days. That was absolutely delightful, Antiknight. Just really, really clever. And I'm very relieved. It's 46 minutes. I don't think that's dreadful for that puzzle. Although fully prepared to find out that I was slow on the Antiknight bit at the end. These U pentominos are really clever. They're very interesting that the sort of middly digit is very constrained. It's I mean, it's the sort of thing that when you discover it as a setter, you think, I must use that in a puzzle. And you did. And it was very fine indeed. And I enjoyed it very much. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.